Welcome back, everyone. I'm Russell, and I truly hope you're all doing well and staying on the brighter side of life. Today, we're stepping into another story. I invite you to stay with me from the beginning to the end. I believe you'll find it worth your time. Assalamu alaikum, Russell Bhai. I hope you're doing fine. I'm doing well too. My name is Rayjan, and I'm a 9th grade student. Tonight, I want to share with you a real incident. One that revolves around the mysterious world of Chinese black magic. This isn't just another tale. It's an experience that forever changed my life. I believe you'll feel its weight as I did. So, without keeping you waiting any longer, let's dive straight into the story. Our village is called Caliganch. It's a small, quiet place. Fields of golden paddy stretching in every direction, and a narrow canal winding through the middle. At the far edge of the village stands my grandmother's old house. Its mud walls and tin roof have stood there so long that they almost feel like part of nature itself. Behind that house grows a massive banyan tree. Its branches spread so wide that even at noon, the ground beneath rests in a cool shade. But the villagers, they whisper stories about that tree. I've heard strange stories about that tree. People say that beneath its shadow lives a gathering of 211 spirits. Not ordinary spirits, but ones bound with the power of black magic. Their history is deeply tied to the dark past of our village. I was only 14 at the time. It was during my summer vacation when I went to visit my grandmother's house, along with my little sister Lima, who was in 5th grade back then. Lima was like my shadow, always following me wherever I went. Grandmother loved us dearly. She would spend her days telling us stories, sometimes fairy tales, sometimes memories from her youth. But there was one story she rarely spoke of, and that was about the banyan tree, and the 211 spirits said to dwell beneath it. One evening, we were sitting in her room, eating dinner. Suddenly, her tone changed. In a deep, serious voice, she said, "Rayjan, Lima, never go near that banyan tree. Do you understand?" I laughed and replied, "Grandma, we don't believe in all those ghost stories. It's just a tree." But she didn't laugh with me. Instead, she spoke slowly, almost as if weighing every word. "Not everything you see is the whole truth. There are things that cannot be seen with the eyes, yet they exist. That tree, it's not an ordinary banyan tree. Beneath it lies 211 enchanted bamboos, tied to 211 spirits." Lima's eyes grew wide with fear and curiosity. "Is that true?" she whispered. Grandmother nodded. "Yes, this is an old tale of black magic. Many years ago, there was a Kobaraj, a village sorcerer who lived here. His name was Hafiz Mia. He was a master of dark sorcery, a man so powerful that he could command spirits at will. But Hafiz Mia didn't just summon them. He bent them to his purpose, often using them to harm others. The villagers whisper that he bound 21 spirits into a talisman and buried it beneath the banyan tree. These spirits were his most powerful weapons. But when he died, the secret of that talisman died with him. No one knew where it was, yet the spirits remained. And they linger still around that tree, waiting for anyone foolish enough to wander too close. Even then, I wasn't fully convinced. I looked at Grandma and asked, "Is that really true? 21 spirits? How can there be such a specific number?" She replied in her steady, solemn voice, "That number was part of Hafiz Mia's black magic. He used to say that 211 was a sacred count, a formula that bound the spirits together into one force. What it truly meant, only he knew. But before his death, he left behind a curse. Whoever touches that talisman will set the spirits free, and in doing so, destroy their own life." Lima's face turned pale. She whispered, "Grandma, then why would anyone ever go near that tree?" Grandmother sighed. "Curiosity, child. Curiosity and fate. Sometimes, it's the nature of people to walk into the very darkness they're warned against. But I am warning you both. Never, ever go near that banyan tree, especially at night." That night, as I drifted into sleep, I could still see the fear written across Lima's face. I laughed at Lima's frightened face and teased her. "Don't be scared of these silly stories. Tomorrow, I'll go to that banyan tree myself and see if any spirit dares to touch me." She grabbed my hand tightly. Vaya denetka. If Grandma warned us, then surely something is there. But I only laughed again. You stay back. I'm Rajan, the brave one. No spirit can ever harm me. Yet deep inside, Grandma's words kept circling in my head. 211 spirits. Black magic. Accursed talisman. Could all of this really be true? My curiosity grew stronger. I decided that the next afternoon, I would go and see that tree with my own eyes. But I wouldn't take Lima with me. She was too scared. That night, sleep didn't come easily. The thought of Hafiz Mia and his dark magic haunted my mind. The next morning, when Grandma left for the market, I made up my mind to learn more. I went to find someone who knew the old stories better than anyone else. Abdul Chacha, our neighbor. He was an elder of the village, a man who carried the memories of generations. I sat beside him and asked, Chacha, tell me about Hafiz Mia and the banyan tree. Abdul Chacha sighed, his eyes narrowing as if looking back into another time. Yes, Rajan, I knew him. Hafiz Mia was no ordinary man. He was a Kobaraj, a healer, a man of knowledge. He studied the Quran, wrote charms, and knew the ways of traditional healing. But greed crept into his heart. He wasn't satisfied with helping people. He sought power, darker power. And so, he turned to black magic, commanding spirits to do his bidding. The old man leaned closer and lowered his voice. They say Hafiz Mia created a talisman unlike any other. A talisman that became his greatest weapon. That talisman, Abdul Chacha whispered, was Hafiz Mia's greatest weapon. Inside it, he had bound 211 spirits. At his command, they would do anything he wished. Ruin a man's business, make someone fall gravely ill, even drive a person insane. I couldn't help but ask, but why exactly 211? Why such a specific number? Chacha's face grew darker. That was part of Hafiz's black magic. He claimed 211 was a sacred formula, the number that united the spirit's powers into one. What the true meaning was, no one ever knew. But among those spirits, there was one leader. A spirit so fierce that Hafiz spent 7 long years in ritual just to bring him under control. His name was Azrael Khan. The name sent a chill down my spine. And then what happened? I asked quickly, curiosity tightening my chest. Abdul Chacha's voice dropped into a heavy silence before he continued. In the end, Hafiz's own people turned against him. He brought nothing but misery to this village. The spirits he commanded were used only for harm, never for good. The villagers' anger grew until, one night, they set fire to his house. Hafiz Mia burned alive in those flames. I swallowed hard, but Chacha wasn't finished. Yet, his talisman was never found. Some say he buried it under the banyan tree before his death. The spirits remain bound to it. Anyone who dares to touch that talisman will be marked forever. The spirits will never let them go. As his words sank into me, goosebumps ran across my skin. Abdul Chacha looked me straight in the eye and said firmly, Rajan, never go near that tree. It isn't just a tree, it's a curse. With Abdul Chacha's warning still echoing in my mind, I decided to go near the banyan tree that very afternoon. Grandma was asleep, and Lima was in the yard, chasing chickens around. I thought to myself, I'll just take a quick look. If there really are spirits, let them come. I'll see for myself. The tree was enormous, its branches spreading wide as if trying to cover the sky. As I stepped beneath its shade, I felt an odd chill in the air. Strange, because the midday sun was still blazing overhead. Yet under that tree, it was unnaturally cold. I looked around carefully. Nothing seemed unusual. No spirits, no shadows, nothing at all. I laughed out loud. See? All nonsense. Just stories. No spirits here. But just then, something stirred near my feet. Startled, I bent down, and there it was. Half buried in the soil lay an old copper talisman, its surface dark with rust. Strange Arabic letters were carved into it, worn yet still sharp enough to see. Curiosity took hold of me. I picked it up. The moment it touched my hand, a shiver of icy cold shot through my entire body. For a second, I froze. Then I thought, maybe it's just something someone dropped long ago. I slipped the talisman into my pocket, planning to show it to Lima later. When I returned home, I pulled it out for her. Her eyes widened in fear. Bia, where did you find this? Throw it away. It looks like something from the spirits. I laughed again. It was lying under the banyan tree. It's not a spirits thing, just some old charm someone lost. But Lima shook her head, her voice trembling. No, it feels wrong. Please, get rid of it. I didn't listen. I tucked the talisman safely into my bag. That night, everything felt normal, or so I thought. That night, nothing happened at first. But in my sleep, a strange dream came to me. I saw myself standing beneath the banyan tree. The world around me was pitch dark. From the thick branches above, shadows began to descend. Their forms were unclear, but their eyes, glowing, watching me. A whisper filled the air, growing louder as they moved closer. Return the talisman. I jolted awake, drenched in sweat. Morning light had already filled the room. Still shaken, I told Lima about the dream. She shivered and clutched my arm. Bia, I warned you. Throw it away now. Take it back to where you found it. I tried to calm her. It's just a dream, Lima. Nothing more. Don't be scared. But inside, fear had begun to creep in. That whisper still echoed in my ears. By noon, I made up my mind. I had to return the talisman. I walked back to the banyan tree, the talisman heavy in my pocket. Pulling it out, I bent to throw it on the ground. Suddenly, a cold wind swept past me, sharp enough to make me shiver. My chest tightened. I looked around quickly, but the place was empty. With trembling hands, I dropped the talisman onto the earth and ran back home as fast as I could. That night, I thought it was over. I told myself, it's finished now. Everything will go back to normal. But I was wrong. The dream returned. The same shadows, but this time closer. Their whispers grew louder, more distinct. Even if you return the talisman, we will not leave you. You have summoned us. I woke up in terror, my body shaking violently. My breath was ragged. Without thinking, I ran to Lima's room and told her everything. Tears welled in her eyes. She whispered, Bia, this is no longer just your problem. It's ours now. Brother, we have to tell Grandma, Lima whispered, her voice trembling. The next morning, we sat down and told Grandma everything. I explained about the talisman, the dreams, the whispers. She stayed silent for a long while, her face grave. Finally, she spoke. Rajan, what you did was a grave mistake. That talisman wasn't just an old charm. It was Hafiz Mia's creation, a binding talisman. It held the spirits captive. By picking it up and then discarding it, you've broken the seal. You've freed them. Now, they're after you. My body shook with fear. Grandma, what do I do now? I pleaded. She closed her eyes, as if weighing the danger. Then she said, there is only one way. In our mosque lives a holy man, Hazrat Maulana Qasim. He can help. But before we call him, you must do something yourself. You must return the talisman to its place beneath the banyan tree. Only then can we try to stop them. My voice cracked. Return it? But how? Grandma's eyes were steady. You won't go alone. I will come with you, and Lima too. We will carry holy water with us. When you return the talisman, you must speak aloud. Admit your mistake, ask for forgiveness, and surrender it back to them. That night, when the village grew silent, we set out together. Grandma carried a small bottle of holy water in her wrinkled hands. I clutched a wooden stick, though I knew it would be useless against spirits. Lima walked behind me, trembling with every step. My chest pounded, fear pressing harder with each footstep. But Grandma's presence gave me courage. Finally, we reached the banyan tree. Its massive shadow loomed over us like a living thing. Grandma turned to me. Place the talisman on the ground, Rajan. Speak the words. I have made a mistake. Forgive me. Take this talisman back. My hands shook as I pulled it from my pocket. Slowly, I knelt and placed it on the earth. With trembling lips, I placed the talisman on the ground and whispered the words Grandma had taught me. I have made a mistake. Forgive me. Take this talisman back. Grandma sprinkled the holy water around us. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the air, cutting to my bones. I heard faint whispers brushing against my ear, voices I couldn't understand, yet they chilled me to the core. Terrified, I grabbed Grandma's hand, and then, silence. The air grew still again, as if nothing had happened. Grandma sighed, "Let's go home. But remember, Rajan, this isn't over. The spirits won't leave so easily. We must call the Maulana." The next morning, we went to meet Hazrat Maulana Qasim at the mosque. After listening carefully to our story, he shook his head gravely. "These are no ordinary spirits. They are the 211 bound by Hafiz Mia's black magic. Returning the talisman has calmed them for now, but they are not gone. They will linger. A special Amal ritual must be performed, and it will take time." He gave us protective charms to wear around our necks and warned us, "Keep your doors and windows locked at night. I will begin the ritual, but until it is complete, you must be careful." Despite his efforts, the nightmares returned. Every night, the shadows grew closer. Their whispers turned into harsh commands. "You freed us. Now you belong to us. You are our servant." My health began to decline. Fear consumed me. I grew weaker each day, my body trembling, my mind restless. Grandma and Lima worried constantly, helpless as they watched me fade. The Maulana continued his nightly prayers and rituals, but the spirits refused to leave. Their grip only tightened. One night, after long hours of recitation, Maulana Qasim sat us down. His voice was heavy with warning. "These spirits are not acting alone. Among them is a leader, the most dangerous of all. He was Hafiz Mia's greatest weapon. The one spirit that even Hafiz took years to subdue." The Maulana's face grew stern. "The leader of these spirits is none other than Azrael Khan. Unless he is subdued, the others will never leave. For this, I must perform a greater ritual. But I will need your courage, Rajan." My voice trembled as I asked, "What must I do, Huser?" He replied firmly, "You will come with me to the banyan tree. I will speak to the leader myself. You must stand beside me. Say nothing. Do nothing. Only hold your ground." That night, under a moonless sky, we walked to the great tree. The village was silent, but the air felt heavy, as if it knew what was about to unfold. Maulana Qasim began his chants, his voice steady, echoing like thunder in the stillness. I stood at his side, my heart racing, my body trembling. Suddenly, a cold wind howled through the branches. My ears caught whispers, and then a deep, booming voice shook the air. "Who dares call me?" The Maulana raised his hand. "I am Maulana Qasim. Azrael Khan released this boy. He made a mistake. Leave him be." The voice laughed, cruel and heavy. "Mistake? No, he freed us. And for that, he belongs to us now." The wind grew violent. My clothes whipped against me. It felt as if invisible hands were tugging at my hair, dragging me toward the tree. Terror froze me where I stood. "Rajan!" the Maulana shouted. "Have courage. Call upon the name of Allah." With all my strength, I shut my eyes and whispered the holy words, again and again. And then, silence. The wind ceased. The pressure lifted from my body. The Maulana exhaled deeply, sweat glistening on his forehead. "Azrael Khan is gone, for now. But this is not the end. More rituals must be done, or he will return." We returned home exhausted. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought it was over. But in the stillness of the dark, I heard it. That same deep voice, whispering inside my ears. "You gave us freedom. Now you will be ours." My head was spinning with fear. Grandma pulled me and Lima into her arms, whispering softly, "Don't be afraid, my children. The Maulana's prayers are powerful. Allah will protect us." But my heart wasn't at peace. Something inside me felt terribly wrong. My body grew weaker each day, as though an unseen force was draining the life out of me. The next morning, when I looked in the mirror, I froze. Dark circles had formed under my eyes, and my skin had turned pale. Lima gasped when she saw me. Bia, what happened to you? You look so sick. I forced a weak smile. It's nothing, Lima. I just didn't sleep well. But inside, terror gnawed at me. I knew the truth. The spirits were still with me. They weren't letting go. Grandma took me to the village doctor. After examining me carefully, he frowned. There's nothing physically wrong with the boy. He's just very weak. Make sure he eats well and gets proper rest. Grandma nodded silently, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew this wasn't an illness food could cure. That night, I tried to sleep with the protective talisman Maulana had given me tied around my neck. But in the middle of the night, I woke with a start. Something heavy pressed against my chest. It felt as if a massive weight was sitting on me, crushing the air from my lungs. My eyes shot open. The room was dark, silent, except for the faint silver light of the moon spilling in through the window. I tried to scream, but no sound came. My throat locked. My body was frozen. I could feel it. Something was there, unseen, sitting on top of me. Suddenly, a whisper hissed in my ear. You are ours. You cannot escape. My whole body trembled. Panic surged through me, but somehow, my hand reached for the talisman around my neck. The moment my fingers touched it, the crushing weight on my chest began to ease. Gasping for air, I jolted upright and switched on the lamp. The room was empty. No one was there. Yet the talisman against my skin burned hot, as though alive. Terrified, I ran straight to Grandma's room. She was awake, clutching her prayer beads, lips moving softly in supplication. Seeing me, she paused. What happened, Rajan? Shaking, I told her everything. She sprinkled holy water on my forehead and whispered, "This is their trick. They want to frighten you. But remember, they are powerless against Allah. Tomorrow we will call the Maulana." The next morning, Hazrat Maulana Qasim came to our house. After listening carefully, his face grew grave. Azrael Khan has not left you. My rituals have weakened him, but he still clings to you. And remember, he is not alone. 210 spirits follow his command. Together, they are dangerous. I swallowed hard. Huzer, will this ever end? The Maulana placed his hand on my shoulder. Inshallah, it will, but you must have courage. Spirits thrive on fear. The more afraid you are, the stronger they become. Pray 5 times a day. Recite Surah Baqarah. Keep the talisman on your neck at all times. Never remove it. Remember, Azrael Khan is no ordinary jinn. This is no ordinary jinn, Maulana Qasim explained, his voice firm. Azrael Khan is an ancient spirit, bound long ago through Hafiz Mia's dark sorcery. Hafiz spent 7 years in ritual to bring him under control. Yet even then, Azrael never fully obeyed. He was always waiting, watching, seeking a chance to break free. And when you picked up that talisman, Rajan, you gave him what he wanted. Now he and his 210 followers are unchained, and they seek to make you their servant. Lima shivered, clutching my arm. Huzer, will they really take my brother away? The Maulana smiled gently, though his eyes stayed serious. No, child, not if Allah wills. With his mercy, we will stop them. But know this, it will not be easy. Azrael Khan's power lies in the combined strength of his 210 spirits. To defeat him, we must weaken them first. Only then can he be subdued. My throat tightened. But how? How can we weaken them? The Maulana leaned closer. There is a ritual, a special amal. To perform it, we must go once more to the banyan tree. And you, Rajan, you must be with me. It is you who lifted the talisman. The spirits are tied to you now. Your presence is necessary. My heart sank. Back to the banyan tree? The thought alone made my body tremble. Huzer, I am afraid. I don't know if I can face it again. The Maulana placed his hand firmly on my shoulder. Fear is natural. Everyone feels it. But if you place your trust in Allah, no spirit can harm you. Remember, Rajan, faith is stronger than any jinn. He paused, then added, I will not go alone. I have companions, disciples trained in this work. Together, we will stand with you. Maulana reassured me. Maulana Rashid will be with us. The next 2 days were spent in preparation. The Maulana stayed at our house, reciting verses from the Quran. Grandma prepared bottles of holy water. I tried my best to pray 5 times a day, holding on to faith like a lifeline. Lima sat beside me every evening, whispering her own prayers, her little hands trembling. But the nights brought no peace. The dreams returned, sharper, darker. One night, I saw him clearly, Azrael Khan himself. His towering figure stood before me, eyes burning like fire. His voice thundered, "You cannot stop me. You are mine." I screamed in terror. When I awoke, sweat pouring down my face, I saw the talisman on the floor beside my bed. Somehow it had slipped from my neck. My hands shook as I grabbed it and tied it back on. In the morning, I broke down before Grandma. "I don't have the courage anymore. I can't do this." She pulled me into her arms, her voice strong even in her frailty. "You are braver than you know, Rajan. You will not face this alone. The Maulana, his disciples, and all of us, we are with you." And so, the night of the great confrontation finally arrived. Maulana Qasim, Maulana Rashid, and I set out toward the banyan tree. Grandma and Lima remained at home, their voices lifted in prayer for our safety. I carried a lantern in my trembling hands. The Maulana held a bottle of holy water close to his chest. Rashid clutched a Quran tightly against his heart as we walked. The village lay silent, swallowed in darkness. Only the distant bark of dogs and the eerie whistling of the wind followed us. When we reached the banyan tree, its shadow loomed larger than ever, as if alive. The Maulana turned to me. "Stand by my side. No matter what happens, do not let fear consume you." He knelt down and drew a large circle on the ground, marking it with careful strokes. Then he guided us inside. "Within this circle," he whispered, "they cannot cross." And as Maulana Rashid recited from the Quran, I closed my eyes and repeated the name of Allah under my breath, clinging to it like a shield. A sudden chill swept through the night. Whispers brushed against my ears. My eyes shot open. The branches of the banyan tree were shaking violently, though no storm was in the sky. Maulana Qasim's voice thundered into the darkness, reciting Surah Al-Jinn with unshakable resolve. And then it came, a deep, booming voice that made the earth itself tremble. "Who dares summon me?" The Maulana stood tall. "I am Maulana Qasim. Azrael Khan, leave this boy. He has made a mistake. Go back, you and your followers." The voice erupted in cruel laughter. "Mistake? No, he freed us. He is ours now. You cannot stop me." The Maulana continued his recitation, his words cutting through the air like lightning. He splashed holy water onto the ground. Suddenly, I felt it, a presence behind me. My skin crawled, my body froze. Slowly, I turned my head. No one was there. Yet my heart pounded as though unseen eyes were boring into me. My body shook uncontrollably until Maulana Rashid placed a firm hand on my shoulder. "Be strong, Rajan. This is their trick. Don't let fear consume you." Then Maulana Qasim's voice rose louder, chanting a special prayer. This is the supplication to break Hafiz Mia's talisman." The earth beneath the banyan tree shuddered. The ground trembled so fiercely I stumbled. Terrified, I grabbed onto the Maulana's arm. A violent wind roared, tearing through the branches. It felt as if invisible hands were pulling at me, dragging me toward the tree. My feet scraped against the soil. "Rajan!" the Maulana cried out. "Call on Allah's name. Do not fear." I squeezed my eyes shut and shouted his name over and over again. And then silence. The wind died, the earth stilled. When I opened my eyes, I saw the Maulana and Maulana Rashid still standing by my side, their faces drenched in sweat but their voices steady in pra. The Maulana's eyes were fixed on the dark tree. "Azrael Khan has grown weak, but he has not left. Another ritual must be done." That night, I thought at last we might have peace. But I was wrong. While I slept, a nightmare unlike any other came alive. I felt it first, a crushing weight pressing hard against my chest. My eyes flew open, and there it was, a dark shadow leaning over me, its burning eyes piercing straight into mine. Its voice rumbled like thunder. "You cannot control me. You are mine." I tried to scream, but my throat locked tight. No sound would come. My body convulsed in terror. My hand fumbled desperately until it found the talisman around my neck. The instant I touched it, the shadow vanished, gone in a blink, leaving only the cold emptiness of my room. I leapt out of bed and ran straight into Grandma's room, my whole body trembling violently. She held me close as I gasped for breath, and without delay she sent for the Maulana. When he heard, his face grew grave. "This is Azrael Khan's final strike. He knows we have weakened him, so now he tries to break you with fear. But listen to me carefully. He will not leave until Hafiz Mia's talisman is destroyed. It is still buried beneath that banyan tree. Unless we end it, Azrael Khan will remain." My voice quivered. "But Huser, I threw that talisman away. Is it still there?" The Maulana's eyes narrowed. "Such bindings do not vanish so easily. The jinn will guard it, but it is there, hidden deep beneath the roots. We must find it and destroy it." And so, once again, that very night we set out toward the banyan tree. The air was thick with dread, heavier than ever before. The Maulana carried holy water. Rashid held the Quran to his chest. I walked behind them, lantern in hand, my heart pounding like a drum. This time, we weren't just going to fight Azrael Khan. We were going to end his curse forever. This time, Maulana Rashid and Grandma joined us. "I will stay by your side," Grandma whispered, holding my hand. Her presence gave me a flicker of courage. Under the ancient banyan tree, Maulana Qasim knelt and began to dig at the roots. The earth felt heavy, almost alive. After a few tense moments, his fingers struck something hard. Slowly, he pulled it out, the talisman. But now it was darker than before, pitch black, as though soaked in shadow. The Maulana washed it with holy water and began reciting powerful prayers. His voice rose, deep and steady. Suddenly, the wind roared like a storm. Branches whipped against each other. Whispers filled my ears, and then came the voice, booming, furious. "You cannot stop me. You cannot break my power." The Maulana raised his hand, his finger pointing at the sky. With firm resolve, he set the talisman on the ground and poured holy water over it. At once, it ignited in a burst of light, flames without fire, glowing fiercely. Terrified, I clutched Grandma's hand, my whole body shaking. "Do not fear," the Maulana cried. "This is only their strength burning away." He chanted louder, faster, each word striking like lightning. And then, silence. The talisman lay on the ground, charred black, lifeless. Maulana Qasim wiped the sweat from his brow. Azrael Khan and his spirits, they are weakened now. Their grip is slipping. But as my eyes fell on the object, my blood ran cold. It wasn't the same talisman I had once thrown beneath this tree. This one was different. Its copper had darkened like burnt ash, and the Arabic inscriptions carved into it were no longer simple. They twisted and tangled into strange, intricate patterns. The moment I touched it, a shiver surged through me, like the talisman itself was whispering, trying to speak directly into my soul. Grandma's face went pale. Her lips trembled as she whispered, This is not the old talisman, Rajan. This is something far more dangerous." Grandma's face drained of color. "Where did you find this, Rajan?" My voice shook as I stammered. I don't know. I swear, I don't know, Grandma. Suddenly it was in my bag. I never touched it. Quickly, she wrapped the talisman in a cloth and placed it in the corner of the room, far away from us. "This could be one of their tricks," she said firmly. "Stay away from it. I'll call the Maulana right now." Lima clung to me, her eyes wide with fear. "Bia, is this the work of the jinn again? Will they never leave us?" Her words echoed the question that haunted my own mind. Where did this talisman come from? By morning, Hazrat Maulana Qasim arrived at our home. He unwrapped the cloth carefully and studied the talisman. His face grew grim. "This," he said slowly, "is another talisman of Hafiz Mia, but it is not the same as the first one. The inscriptions are far more complex, twisted, and this one is connected to another group of jinn." My heart sank. "Huzer, does that mean more jinn will come after me?" I asked, my voice trembling. The Maulana was silent for a long moment, his eyes fixed on the dark object in his hand. Finally, he spoke. Hafiz Mia's power was greater than anyone knew. He did not bind only 211 jinn. His black magic was so vast that he controlled multiple legions. The first talisman held Azrael Khan and his 210 followers. But this, he lifted the talisman slightly, this may be tied to another leader entirely. Grandma's voice quivered. Huzer, could it be that the jinn themselves placed this inside Rajan's bag? The Maulana slowly nodded. Yes, they want to bind him further. They are not finished yet. And now, we must uncover the deeper secrets of Hafiz Mia's curse. The Maulana's voice was steady, though his eyes carried a shadow of concern. It is possible. The jinn use such tricks. They want you, Rajan, to touch this talisman, to strengthen them through your hand. But we will not allow that. He submerged the talisman into holy water, reciting powerful verses as he did. At once, an eerie sound rose from the object, like whispers clawing their way to the surface. My skin prickled, every hair standing on end. This talisman, the Maulana said, I will take with me. In my library rests an ancient book, a record of Hafiz Mia's black magic. I will study it, for I fear this is not the end. Rajan, you must be cautious. Now more than ever, the jinn are watching you. That night, I wore the protective talisman he had given me and tried to sleep. But near midnight, I woke suddenly. A strange, acrid smell filled the room, like burnt wood, sharp and suffocating. My chest tightened as I sat upright. The room was dark, silent, and then I saw it. By the window stood a tall shadow, taller than any man. His presence filled the room with dread. Unlike Azrael Khan, this figure's eyes glowed with a cold, unnatural blue light, piercing through the darkness. Its voice slithered into my ears, low and chilling. Rajan, you have touched our claim. Now you belong to us. Come. Terror shot through me. My throat burned as I tried to scream, and at last, a cry tore out of me. Grandma and Lima burst into the room, their faces pale with fear. I pointed toward the window, my voice shaking. Someone was here, a shadow with blue eyes. Grandma pressed her trembling hand to her chest. This must be from the new talisman. She quickly sprinkled holy water across the room, chanting prayers under her breath. Then she held me close and whispered, Calm yourself, Rajan. We will tell the Maulana. This is not the old jinn. This is something new. The next morning, Maulana Qasim arrived, his expression grim as I recounted every detail. Maulana Qasim listened to me carefully, then nodded. Yes, you are right. This is a new leader. In Hafiz Mia's book, it is written that he bound not one, but 2 legions of jinn. The first was under Azrael Khan, the second under Jahannam Khan, and this talisman belongs to him. My blood froze. Jahannam Khan? Huzer, what will happen now? I never even touched this talisman. The Maulana's voice grew firm. Rajan, it does not matter. You picked up the first talisman. By doing so, you became a mark to them. That is why Jahannam Khan's attention has fallen upon you. We cannot avoid it. We must face him. He opened the ancient book and showed us faded pages filled with strange, twisted symbols. His voice was grave as he explained. Azrael Khan was powerful, yes, but Jahannam Khan was Hafiz Mia's greatest weapon. Where Azrael could torment bodies, Jahannam could torment minds. He could plant terror so deep inside a person's heart that they would lose all reason, fall into madness. Hafiz Mia spent 10 long years in dark ritual to subdue him, and when he finally succeeded, he bound Jahannam Khan into this very talisman. Lima clutched my arm, her voice trembling. User, will this jinn take Bia away? The Milana's expression softened, but his words carried weight. No, child. By Allah's mercy, we will stop him. But understand, this will be harder than before. Jahannam Khan is stronger, more cunning, and far more dangerous than Israel Khan. I swallowed hard. User, what must I do? The Maulana placed a hand on my shoulder. You must stay with us. Tomorrow we will begin preparations for a greater ritual. Maulana Rashid and I will lead it. But your presence is vital. Because you are the one they seek. You are the one who must stand in the circle with us. That night, my heart was restless. But when morning came, preparations began once again. Holy water was prepared. Quranic recitations filled the house. And Maulana Qasim and Maulana Rashid readied themselves. The days passed in heavy silence. Every morning, Maulana Qasim came to our home, his voice filling the rooms with Quranic recitations. Grandma prepared more bottles of holy water, lining them in every corner. I tried my best to keep up with my 5 daily prayers, though my heart never found peace. The dreams returned, but this time it was not Israel Khan. It was Jahannam Khan. His piercing blue eyes glowed in the darkness, always fixed on me. His voice slithered into my ears, whispering the same words again and again. Come to us, Rajan. You belong with us. One night I awoke with a start. My room was silent, but on the floor, I saw strange, twisting marks drawn across the ground. My chest tightened with dread. I ran to Grandma, shaking. She came quickly, her eyes widening as she studied the symbols. This too is their work, she muttered, before sprinkling holy water over them until the markings dissolved. Soon after, Maulana Rashid was summoned. He wasted no time. Together, we returned once more to the banyan tree. Under its looming shadow, the Maulanas uncovered the talisman again. But this time, they called upon Jahannam Khan. His presence shook the night. The same booming refusal echoed through the air. I will not release him. He is mine. The Maulanas stood firm, their recitations rising like a storm. Rajan, call upon the name of Allah. I shut my eyes, my voice trembling but steady, repeating his name again and again. Then silence. The weight lifted. The whispers faded. Maulana Qasim exhaled heavily. Jahannam Khan has weakened, but he is not gone. Just as before, his strength is broken, but not destroyed. We returned home that night, and for the first time in weeks, I thought maybe, just maybe, peace had come. But the next morning proved me wrong. I was sitting quietly in my room when I heard it. A faint scraping sound from beneath my bed. My heart stopped. Slowly, I bent down and peered underneath. There, lying in the dust, was Anno. The talisman looked unlike the others. Its surface was carved with strange, twisted markings. Symbols I had never seen before, as if written in some ancient language long forgotten. Terrified, I called for Grandma. She entered the room, her eyes widening in shock. Rajan, what is this? Did you touch it again? I shook my head quickly. No, Grandma. I swear I didn't. It was just lying there under my bed. Without wasting a moment, she wrapped the talisman tightly in cloth, just as she had done before, and placed it in the corner of the room. Her voice trembled. This is no ordinary object. I will call the Maulana at once. Stay close to Lima. Don't go anywhere near it. Her words echoed in my mind as a single question circled endlessly. Where did this come from? And what is it connected to? The next morning, Hazrat Maulana Qasim arrived. He unwrapped the cloth carefully and studied the talisman in silence. His face changed, a strange look of recognition mixed with unease. This, he whispered, this talisman is not Hafiz Mia's work. No, it is far older. The symbols carved into it. I have seen them before in my oldest manuscripts. This is the work of someone before Hafiz Mia, a master of black magic. My heart pounded. User, does that mean it's tied to another jinn? Another legion? The Maulana's face grew stern. Yes, Rayum. This talisman belongs to the dark arts of Sayak Borin, the sorcerer who taught Hafiz Mia. Sayak Borin was not just a healer. He was one of the most feared masters of forbidden knowledge. Hafiz Mia learned his craft from him, but Borin's powers were far greater, rooted in secrets much older than this village. He looked at me with grave eyes. This talisman may be tied to something even worse than Azrael Khan or Jahannam Khan. Maulana Qasim's voice grew heavy. Sayak Borin, he was no ordinary sorcerer. He commanded entire clans of jinn. One such clan was called Al-Shayatin, a tribe of ancient spirits, far stronger than the others. Their leader, his name was feared even in the old texts. Few dared to write it down. He paused, flipping through his worn manuscripts. His brow furrowed as his finger traced strange, ancient symbols. This talisman, it is tied to them. To a jinn so powerful, his shadow stretches across centuries. My throat tightened. I whispered, trembling, "Huzer, will this never end? Will they never leave me?" The Maulana placed his hand firmly on my shoulder. His eyes, though tired, shone with faith. "Do not lose heart, Rajan. You made a mistake, yes, but with Allah's mercy we will correct it. We will not let them claim you." He held up the talisman again. "I must study Sayak Borin's black magic in greater detail. In my library, there is a book that speaks of his dealings with the Al-Shayatin tribe. We may yet find a way." That night, as I lay restless, the dread returned. A strange, earthy smell filled my room, like scorched soil, thick and suffocating. My chest tightened as I sat up. The room was dark, silent, and then I saw it. By the window stood a figure, unlike Azrael Khan, unlike Jahannam Khan. This shadow was different, larger, its presence older, colder. Its eyes gleamed faintly, not red, not blue, but a deep, pale gray. Its voice hissed into my ears. "You have touched our talisman. Now, come into our world." Shaking violently, I ran once more to Grandma's room. She repeated the rituals, sprinkling holy water, whispering verses until my trembling slowed. The next morning, Maulana Qasim returned. His face was grave. "This was no illusion, Rajan. I have read more of the texts. What you saw is from the clan of Al-Shayatin. Their leader is called Malik al-Maut, the King of Death. He has existed since the days of Sayak Borin, and he has made pacts. Why? Once again, we prepared ourselves. Maulana Qasim and Maulana Rashid came daily, their voices echoing through our home with Quranic recitations. Grandma sprinkled holy water in every corner. I clung to my prayers, 5 times a day, reciting Surah Baqarah, holding on to faith as my shield. Lima sat beside me each evening, her small hands folded in dua, whispering verses through trembling lips. But the dreams never stopped. Every night, Malik al-Maut came to me. His face was a hollow void, a black pit where no light could enter. His words pierced like daggers. "You cannot escape me. You will come into our world." One night, I woke with my heart racing. My eyes widened. On the walls of my room, strange marks had appeared, symbols like those etched into the cursed talismans. Panicked, I ran to Grandma. She examined them closely and whispered, "This is the work of the Al-Shayatin tribe. They are trying to break your spirit with fear." Soon after, Maulana Rashid arrived, and together we returned beneath the shadow of the banyan tree. Once more, Maulana Qasim raised his voice, commanding the leader of the dark tribe, "Malik al-Maut, by the name of Allah, leave this boy. Return to the place where you were bound." But the air split with a thunderous voice, dark and defiant. "You cannot bind me. This boy has freed us. He belongs to us now." The talisman in the Maulana's hand began to shake. From it, black smoke poured forth, swirling like a living storm. Terror gripped me. I clutched Grandma's hand tightly, my body trembling. "Do not fear," the Maulana shouted over the wind. His voice grew louder, steadier, drowning out the whispers. He recited with fire in his words, his face burning with determination. And then, just as suddenly as it began, silence. The smoke faded, The talisman fell to the ground, blackened and lifeless. Maulana wiped his brow. Malik Almult is weakened, but he is not gone. His presence still lingers. Later that evening, as I sat quietly, on the table lay an old, crumpled piece of paper. Its surface was worn with age, the letters upon it strange and twisted. With trembling hands, I picked it up. The message chilled my blood. The talisman is only the beginning. You are now bound to our world. Horrified, I ran to Grandma and showed her the paper. Her face turned pale. Rajan, where did you find this? I don't know, Grandma. It was just here. Without wasting a moment, she called for the Maulana. When he arrived, he examined the paper carefully, his face darkening. This mystery must be solved completely, he said. Until then, none of you are safe. And that is where the story ends. Yes, the writer told us only 5 events, each circling back to the same endless struggle. The talismans, the shadows, the voices, the jinn. A cycle of fear that never truly breaks. He did not write what came after. Perhaps he will. Perhaps he won't. For now, the ending remains unknown. And maybe that is the most frightening part. If you've listened this far, tell us, what do you believe? Are these just stories or echoes of something darker, hidden in the night? Don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts, because we will return, as always, into the kingdom of shadows, where fear walks in silence and belief is yours to decide. This was the Haunted Hour. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Russell, and I hope you're all doing well, staying on the brighter side of life. Tonight, we're going to do something a little different. Instead of just one story, we'll dive straight into a few audio clips. I believe you'll find them fascinating. So, let's begin with our very first clip. Asterisk, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Salim Shikhtar. To Russell Bai and all the listeners of the Haunted Hour, I send my warmest greetings and respect. Today, I will share with you a true incident from Magura district in Mohammadpur Upchala. This story is about my uncle, whose name is Aku Shikhtar. He is still alive to this day. My uncle never had a son. He only has 2 daughters. Many times, his wife conceived sons, but they would either die in the womb or shortly after birth, often due to sudden illnesses. He tried everything, but it was Allah's will. None of his sons survived in this world. His grief was unbearable, as one by one, all of his children were taken away. Asterisk. But behind all of this, there was something else, something unnatural, something no one could truly explain. Many in the village believed it wasn't fate or sickness, but the effect of an evil eye, a curse that hovered over my uncle's family. Despite countless attempts, spiritual healing, rituals, and prayers, nothing could save his children. Now, let's come to the real incident. In our villages, children usually grow up together, playing, running, doing both good and mischievous things as a group. My village was no different. Among my friends, we had a tight bond, and one thing made us special. We prayed together. Yes, from a very young age, 10, maybe 12 years old, we would gather and pray all 5 daily prayers as a group. Whoever woke up first would go knocking on everyone else's door, calling them to join. And we all went together, side by side, to the mosque. Even the far prayer at dawn, when the night was darkest and sleep the heaviest, we would still do the same. Now, the incident I'm about to share, it didn't happen to me directly. It happened to one of my closest friends. I heard it from his own lips. One night, his sleep broke unusually early, around 3:30 in the morning, well before the call to prayer. He was just a young boy, 10 or 12 years old, and of course he didn't have a clock. But it was a moonlit night, and seeing the silver light across the fields, he thought, it must be time for Far. So the boy thought, the Far Adhan has probably been called already or will be soon. With that in mind, he went around waking up all his friends. Together, they set off for the mosque. Now, the mosque they were heading to was near the village market. It wasn't a big or modern mosque back then, just a simple structure built from bamboo and straw. A small place where the market-goers could gather for their prayers. Of course, now it has been renovated and looks very different. And here's the important detail. This mosque stood right beside my uncle Aku Schichter's house. To explain the setting, behind my uncle's house ran the main road. On the other side of that road lay a large pond, a place where the entire community would bathe and wash. Just across from that pond, facing the road, stood the mosque. So it was a triangle of sorts, the pond, the mosque, and my uncle's house all in one line. Now, on that particular night, or rather that early morning, the children were on their way to the mosque. They crossed through the marketplace and began moving toward the main road that led straight to the pond and then the mosque. And that is when something unusual happened. As the children drew closer to the mosque and the pond, their eyes caught something that froze them in place. From the window of Aku Schichter's house, something emerged. It was green in color, but its shape was nothing like a human. It had no head. Instead, on its chest, two enormous eyes stared outward, glowing faintly. Its body was short and stocky, almost stunted, ending abruptly at the knees. There were no legs. The creature floated, drifting silently through the window, sliding into the air like smoke. It hovered above the road, crossing slowly toward the pond. Its chest eyes fixed forward, its eyeless face bent downward as it moved. And then, just as silently as it appeared, it slipped across the bank and vanished into the waters of the pond. The children were paralyzed with terror. Their small bodies trembled. Some collapsed onto the road, rolling on the ground in fright. Others screamed, their voices cracking in panic. Tears poured down their faces as they huddled together, not knowing what they had just seen. At that very moment, my grandfather, the muezzin of that mosque, was walking toward the masjid to give the far adhan. He arrived early, as he always did, to prepare himself. On his way, he found the children in chaos, some crying uncontrollably, some too shaken to stand, their frightened faces pale in the dim moonlight. "What happened?" my grandfather demanded, his voice steady. "Tell me what you saw." And the children, still sobbing, pointed back toward Aku Schichter's house. The children, still trembling, poured out the entire story to my grandfather. He listened carefully and then spoke in a calm, steady voice. "No, my children, do not be afraid. This is nothing more than your imagination. Fear plays tricks on the mind. Perhaps you saw something else, and your thoughts turned it into something frightening." Of course, he said this only to comfort them, to ease their fear. Deep inside, perhaps he knew there was more to it. But for the children, his words were a blanket of reassurance. My grandfather then gave the adhan, the call to far prayer, his voice echoing through the quiet dawn. The children joined in prayer, and after that, everyone returned home. No further incidents occurred that night. Yet for those children, that one sighting, that terrifying vision, it became a memory carved deep into their hearts. A story they would carry with them for the rest of their lives. And that is the end of this tale. If you enjoyed this story, rustle by, perhaps you'll share it on the Haunted Hour. I have many more stories to tell, inshallah. Ghost stories, jinn encounters, I love collecting them whenever I can. So I hope you've liked this one. Stay safe, everyone. Why do you come? I only wish to stay with you, but how can it be? The dead do not belong in this world. Go, please go. Or are these just illusions? Or perhaps visitors from another realm, appearing before us in the blink of an eye? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Russell, and I hope you're all doing well, staying on the brighter side of life. I'm doing fine myself, standing with the side of good. So without wasting any more time, let's move straight into tonight's story. I'll read it exactly as it was written and sent to us. Asterisk, Assalamu alaikum, Russell. By Allah's mercy, I believe you are well. Because you stand among the good, Allah's blessings will surely remain with you. I say this with faith, because I have been a devoted listener of the Haunted Hour for nearly a decade now. You could say your program has been my medicine for sleep at night. Today, for the very first time, I've gathered the courage to send you one of my own stories. I hope you will like it. This incident happened to my grandmother in the year 2003, about 22 years ago. My home is in Jashore Sadar Upjala. My grandmother was a deeply religious woman, not only pious in her prayers and fasting, but also kind and generous in serving others. When someone in the village died, she would help wash the bodies of women before burial. And when a woman gave birth, my grandmother would be there as a midwife, standing by her side. One evening, just after Maghrib prayer, my grandmother sat with the Quran. Asterisk. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Russell, and I hope you're all doing well, staying on the brighter side of life. I'm doing fine myself, standing with the side of good. So without wasting any more time, let's move straight into tonight's story. I'll read it exactly as it was written and sent to us. Asterisk. Assalamu alaikum, Russell. By Allah's mercy, I believe you are well. Because you stand among the good, Allah's blessings will surely remain with you. I say this with faith, because I have been a devoted listener of the Haunted Hour for nearly a decade now. You could say your program has been my medicine for sleep at night. Today, for the very first time, I've gathered the courage to send you one of my own stories. I hope you will like it. This incident happened to my grandmother in the year 2003, about 22 years ago. My home is in Jashore Sadr Ujjala. My grandmother was a deeply religious woman, not only pious in her prayers and fasting, but also kind and generous in serving others. When someone in the village died, she would help wash the bodies of women before burial. And when a woman gave birth, my grandmother would be there as a midwife, standing by her side. One evening, just after Maghrib prayer, my grandmother sat with the Quran. Asterisk. Grandmother was reciting the Quran when suddenly, a familiar voice called out from the window. Mother, are you home? She recognized it instantly. It was Hossein. Yes, Hossein, she replied softly. What is it? At once, the man broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Mother, my daughter. She has hanged herself with a rope. No one is willing to wash her body. Please, she first opened her eyes into this world through your hands. Let her last bath be given by you as well. Grandmother's chest tightened. Tears streamed down her face. She asked gently, Why, Hossein? What made her do this? With grief choking his voice, he explained, Her husband. He was involved with another woman. She could not bear the pain of betrayal. In her despair, she took her own life. Grandmother closed the Quran and agreed to go with him. Together they set off. On the way, they had to pass beneath an ancient banyan tree. This was in 2003, when electricity had not yet spread everywhere. And that tree, it was always shrouded in an eerie darkness. Its presence sent a chill into anyone who walked beneath it. Finally, they reached Hossein's home. Grandmother prepared herself for the ritual washing. Beside her was a 17-year-old girl, helping to pour water. Because it was a case of suicide, the authorities had ordered a postmortem on the body. Grandmother would later say that the stitches on the girl's body were so loose that one could see inside. And then, as grandmother lathered soap onto the girl's hand, as grandmother washed the body, her ring suddenly snagged against the stitches. For a terrifying moment, she felt as though the corpse was gripping her hand, pulling her closer. Her heart nearly stopped, but then she realized it was only the ring caught in the thread. Even so, she steadied herself, whispering prayers, and carried on until the washing was complete. She remained through the janazah and the burial, silently weeping. Her thoughts lingered on one truth. The girl who first saw the world through my hands, her final bath too, has been given by these very hands. After the funeral, Hossein offered gently, Mother, let me walk you home. But she refused. No, son. It's only a short distance. I can manage. That night was darker than most. A moonless, suffocating black sky. By the time she set out, it was near 11 o'clock. As grandmother approached the ancient banyan tree, a strange sound pierced the silence. Splash, 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 like wet feet slapping against the ground. She froze, her heart pounding. The sound did not stop. It grew closer, louder, trembling. She turned and lifted her torch. What she saw was something no living soul could ever be prepared for. The very same girl she had washed was there, wrapped in her burial shroud, face streaked with tears, her body torn and stitched, hollow eyes staring forward. She was moving, not walking, not floating, but hopping, both feet bound together, leaping toward grandmother in jerky, unnatural jumps. Grandmother's chest tightened. Her soul felt as though it would break free from her body. Yet somehow, she forced herself to. Grandmother could hardly keep herself standing. Her body trembled, her breath caught in her chest. Yet she gathered her courage and spoke aloud. "Child, I have never wronged you. Why do you follow me? Go to those who destroyed your life, not to me." With those words, she forced herself to walk on, her steps slow but steady. After a few paces, she dared to glance back. The figure had stopped. Wrapped in her shroud, the girl stood frozen under the pale torchlight, weeping in a voice so mournful, so broken, it could pierce a stone. Grandmother too began to cry, her tears falling as she hurried home, the sound of that pitiful wail echoing behind her. By then, my father had grown worried at her delay and had gone out searching. When she saw him on the road, grandmother collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Later, at home, she told the entire story. My father held her hands and said firmly, "From today, you will wash no more bodies. And after sunset, you must never leave the house again." Not long after this incident, grandmother suffered a heart attack. She passed away soon after, and as my father promised, she never again performed the final washing of the dead. This was the real experience of my grandmother, a memory carved into our family forever. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, comment, and share, because in the silence of the night, we return again and again, to the land of fear, to the voices that linger between this world and the next. This was the Haunted Hour. Thank you very much, Arafat. That was your very first submission, and we truly appreciate it. If your story is selected for future broadcasts, we'll be sure to give you a call. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed that chilling experience. With that, we move forward to our next tale. You cannot see me in this world, yet you've been hearing me for so long, but do you truly listen? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Russell, and I hope you're all well, standing strong on the side of good. I am too, alhamdulillah. And without further delay, let's step into our second audio clip of the night. Asterisk, Assalamu alaikum, Russell Bhai. I pray you are well and blessed, for you walk among the good. My home is in Sherpur, Bogara, though right now I work in Saudi Arabia. The story I will share today is one I heard directly from my father. But before I begin, let me tell you a little about him. He was no ordinary man. My father was both a herbal healer, a cabbage, and at the same time something of a mystic, a dervish. He wore his hair in long dreadlocks, and with those locks, people believed he had ties to another world, a world of spirits and unseen beings. I grew up hearing strange things about him, and this story is one of them. Asterisk. I had asked my father many times about his secrets, the strange powers people whispered he carried, but he never truly explained. He only used to say, "Don't touch these things. Don't go near them. They are tied to forces you cannot understand." Still, I loved my father deeply. I stayed by his side whenever I could, watching him work, listening to his words. I was fascinated by his healing, his rituals, his life as a cabbage. More than anything, I wanted to learn. In time, my father moved away from the family home. He built a small hut beneath a massive banyan tree, a place of solitude. There, he lived alone. He cooked his own meals, managed everything by hand, and spent most of his days in meditation and practice. One day, I gathered the courage to ask him directly, "Baba, I want to learn Kali Sadhana. Will you teach me?" First, he said nothing. I asked again and again. Finally, after some silence, he looked at me and said, "My son, if you truly wish to learn, then listen to me first. Let me tell you a story. If after hearing it you still feel you are ready, then perhaps I will teach you." I agreed. "Tell me, Baba." And so he began. "First," he said, "if you want to pursue Kali Sadhana, you must abandon meat and fish. You cannot touch them. Your body must be purified of such things. Second, you must understand this. Kali Sadhana carries great risk. Those who attempt it often do not survive. Even you, my own son, you could die in the process. Before you even think of this path, my father said, let me tell you a story. If, after hearing it, you still believe you can endure it, then I will take you myself to the cremation ground and show you. I nodded. All right, Baba, tell me. And so he began. For your understanding, he said, I will speak in the first person as if it is my own house, but the truth of this story belongs to our land, many years before you were born. Back in the 1950s, perhaps between 1955 and 1960, there was a powerful cabbage in our area. His fame spread far and wide. People came to him from distant regions, for his knowledge and practice of spiritual healing was unmatched. He had no disciples, no students, except one. That one was both his student and his own nephew, the son of his sister. The two lived together, uncle and nephew. The cabbage taught him everything he knew. Wherever he went, the boy went with him, watching, learning. Time passed, and the nephew grew ambitious. One day, he said to his uncle, Mamu, I want to learn sadhana. Teach me, please. The old cabbage looked at him carefully and asked, what kind of sadhana do you wish to learn? The boy did not hesitate.
Kali Sadhana.
I want to learn that. The uncle's face darkened. He tried to dissuade him. There are many paths, child. Many other practices you could learn. Leave Kali Sadhana aside. It is too dangerous, too costly. Choose something else. But the boy was stubborn. No, Mamu. I want only that. Nothing else. The cabbage pleaded, warned, explained the risks. But in the end, the boy refused to give up. At last, the cabbage sighed and said, very well. If this is truly what you seek, then so be it. I will teach you. And that decision set in motion something that would change everything. The cabbage said to his nephew, 13, maybe 14 nights from now, there will be an Amavasya, the dark moon. That night, I will take you to the cremation ground. But before that, you must learn my mantras, my secret incantations. You must memorize them, practice them, and make them your own. For without them, the ritual will devour you. The boy agreed. And so, in the days that followed, he practiced relentlessly, learning each word, each breath of the tantric knowledge passed down by his uncle. Every night, he whispered the forbidden chants until they etched themselves into his very soul. At last, the night came, Amavasya, a night of thick, suffocating darkness. Together, uncle and nephew set out toward the cremation ground. But first, they prepared. For strong bamboo poles were cut, each 5 feet long, their ends sharpened to cruel points. Alongside them, they carried a sickle, a spade, and the tools of ritual. Step by step, they made their way through the blackened night. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the crunch of their feet against the dry earth. Finally, they arrived at the center of the cremation ground. The air was heavy with the smell of ash and smoke, a place where bodies had burned, where souls still lingered. There, the cabbage planted the 4 sharpened poles into the ground, one by one, at the 4 corners. Each was driven deep, forming the shape of a small house, a cage of sorts. This, the cabbage said, his voice low and grave, is the chamber of sadhana. Within this square, you will summon her. The boy's breath caught in his chest. The black sky above seemed to press down on them, and the earth itself felt restless beneath their feet. And then, the ritual began. After planting the 4 bamboo poles, they turned toward the tall reeds growing nearby, the wild cashpan, thick and swaying in the wind. With the sickle they had carried, they cut down armfuls of the stalks and dragged them back to the square they had made. There, under the uncle's direction, they began twisting the reeds into ropes. The nephew's hands worked nervously, each motion guided by the cabbage's chanting of mantras. Slowly, the ropes grew thicker, stronger, long enough to bind. When they were ready, the uncle tied each rope tightly around the 4 bamboo poles, stretching them taut, creating a square enclosure like a cage. All of it was done in rhythm with the tantric verses he murmured, his voice rising and falling with strange power. Then the cabbage turned to his nephew. Go, he said. "Bring me the spade." The boy obeyed. Taking the spade in hand, he followed his uncle to the far edge of the cremation ground. The cabbage pointed to a spot where the soil was still dark with ash. "Dig here," he commanded. The boy dug, his heart pounding with every strike of the spade. And then the blade struck something solid. Together they unearthed it. A body. It was a corpse half buried in the ground. Its limbs were still intact, its flesh still clinging to bone. Only the face was ruined, melted, blackened, its features disfigured by fire. The cabbage's voice was cold. "Lift it." The boy's arms trembled as he obeyed, hauling the corpse up from the earth. Its weight was heavy, unnaturally heavy, as though something clung to it still. Carrying it back, they laid the body within the square of bamboo poles, beneath the ropes stretched tight. The ritual had only just begun. The corpse was placed at the center between the ropes. Its arms and legs were stretched wide, bound tightly to each corner with the thick cords. Not a thread was left upon its body. Then the cabbage turned to his disciple, his own nephew. His voice was firm, cold, like iron. "Now you, too, must strip yourself bare. Not a single thread of cloth may remain on your body. For tonight, you and the dead shall be joined in the ritual." The boy hesitated, trembling, but obeyed. Soon, he stood naked under the black sky, shivering in fear and shame. "Climb upon the body," the uncle commanded. "Sit on its chest, face to face, your mouth before its mouth." The boy's heart pounded like a drum, but he did as he was told. He climbed onto the corpse, his bare skin pressed against its cold flesh, his eyes locked upon the charred ruin of its face. "Now," the cabbage whispered, "begin the incantations, the mantra I have taught you. Speak it without pause. Do not falter. Do not move. Keep within the circle I have drawn." With his sickle, the cabbage had carved a great circle, a coiled boundary, around the square of ropes and bamboo. He stood just beyond it, watching, guarding. "If you break the circle," he warned, "if you falter in your chanting, then the spirit will not obey. It will devour you instead." And so, under the starless sky, with only the shadows of the cremation ground surrounding him, the boy sat upon the corpse and began to chant. At first, his voice was shaky, stumbling over the words. But as he repeated the mantra, his tone grew stronger, more certain, echoing through the silent night. And then, the air began to change. The ropes around the body tightened, groaning as though strained by an unseen force. The ashes on the ground stirred. A cold wind swept through the cashman, and beneath him, the corpse seemed to move. The cabbage's final warning echoed in the boy's mind. "Even if you wish, I cannot save you. If you live through this, death itself may feel kinder. The corpse will thrash. It will seem as though the ropes will break, but they will not. Do not, under any condition, climb down from its chest. Keep chanting. If you stop, if you falter, it will destroy you." With that, the master stepped outside the circle, leaving the boy alone with the dead. And so the disciple began. He chanted the mantra as he had been taught, his trembling voice echoing through the cremation ground. First, all was silent. Then suddenly the wind rose. A storm seemed to gather inside the cemetery itself. The air howled. Ashes swirled. From the shadows came the sound of weeping, long, hollow cries that seemed to come from every direction at once. Terror gripped him, but still he chanted. Then, beneath him, the body twitched. The ropes strained as though they would snap. The corpse writhed, struggling, groaning. And then its eyes that should never have opened again, rolled back and then snapped wide. They fixed on him, staring deep, unblinking. The boy nearly lost his voice in fear, but his master's words rang in his ears. "Do not get down. If you do, you will die." So he clung to the mantra, repeating it faster, louder, trying to drown out the panic in his chest. The corpse bucked beneath him, its chest rising unnaturally, the ropes digging deeper into its flesh. The air around him roared like a storm, and still he did not dare to stop. As the disciple sat chanting, the corpse beneath him began to whisper in a voice that was not its own. Climb into my chest. Do it, or I will destroy your bloodline. No one in your family will survive. And you will not live to see another dawn." Its voice twisted into curses, threats, endless promises of ruin. The boy's body trembled, but he continued the mantra. Still, the horrors did not stop. From the shadows of the cremation ground, shapes began to emerge. First, great beasts, elephants, tigers, buffalo, stormed through the night, their roars shaking the earth. Then, figures beyond recognition, not man, not beast, forms so hideous no language could describe them. They circled him, hissing, growling, mocking, their voices filled with threats, and still he kept chanting. Beneath him, the corpse writhed, its body convulsing, pulling at the ropes with unnatural strength as if at any moment it would tear free. It screamed, it cursed, it spat hatred at him. The storm howled across the burning ground, a cyclone of dust and ash. And then, from above, he saw it. A serpent, vast and monstrous. Its body stretched across the sky, its jaws wide open, fangs glistening. It descended toward him, ready to swallow him whole. In that instant, terror overpowered him. His master's warnings fled his mind. He leapt off the corpse's chest and bolted toward the edge of the circle. But the moment his bare foot crossed the boundary of the ritual, he felt it. A force struck him. Something unseen slammed him flat against the ground, face upward. The breath ripped from his chest. His eyes widened in horror as the weight of the unseen pressed down. And then, everything went dark. The boy remembered only one thing before losing consciousness. The scream. A scream torn from his throat as something struck him down. When he awoke, he was no longer in the cremation ground. He was in his master's hut, his uncle's home. His body ached, his chest heavy, his breath ragged. "Master, what happened to me?" he whispered. The cabbag's face was grim. His voice carried both anger and sorrow. "You broke the rule. You stepped outside the circle. The moment you did, one of the evil jinns seized you and struck you down. That scream of yours, I heard it. I ran to the cremation ground and found you lying there, unconscious. I carried you back here." He paused, his eyes dark with knowledge. "And through my spirits, I have learned the truth. They attacked you. They wanted your life. Had I not arrived, they would have finished you." The boy shivered. "But I am alive. Why? Then, do I still feel broken?" The cabbag's voice lowered. "Because, my child, you are broken. When the jinns struck you, they shattered your backbone. From this day on, you may walk, yes, but never again will you stand straight. Never again will you carry yourself as before. You will live, but crippled, marked forever by the price of your failure." The boy's eyes filled with tears. The horror of the night sank into him. Not just the visions, the voices, the storm, but the cost. A lifetime of suffering. And this was the warning the cabbage left for his disciple. And that was the end of it. The disciple never again practiced Kabaraji. He never touched tantric rituals again. The path ended there. His master, his uncle, refused to teach him further. The boy turned away from the dark arts forever, carrying his broken body as a reminder of that one terrible night. My father ended the story with a warning for me. "Son, learning is not the problem, but sadhana, that is another world. It is not just difficult, it is death itself. Even if you survive, life after it will be worse than death. So never think you can walk that path. Do not try." With those words, my father closed the story. He told me there were many more events, far darker than this one, that he had witnessed in his lifetime. If this story is accepted, perhaps I will share those next. I hope you found this tale chilling. For now, I take your leave. Assalamu alaikum. You've been listening to The Haunted Hour. I'm Russell, your companion in the shadows. If you have your own story, real or remembered, share it with us at thehauntedhour@gmail.com. Because every story, every whisper, keeps the darkness alive. Now, let's move to our next clip, an audio story that I believe you'll find just as unsettling. Shall we begin? This is Fahina Gina, speaking from Dhaka. The story I'm about to share happened in 2023. At that time, we had recently hired a new housemaid. My son was only 6 months old back then. Mischievous, restless, never still for a moment. Even now, he's the same. Whenever someone new came into the house, he would become unusually excited. And with this maid, it was immediate. He grew close to her very quickly. The moment she entered the room, my son would crawl or run straight into her arms. He wanted to be held by her all the time. If she was around, he refused to sleep. Gradually, she became like family, close, trusted. She never mentioned any problems, never gave us any reason to worry. But then, something happened. The first strange incident was small, almost ordinary. One morning, I sat down for breakfast with a bowl of beef curry and some flatbread. As I began eating, she entered the room, mop in hand, ready to clean. The moment her eyes fell on the beef, her face changed. She frowned, muttering under her breath. An angry, hissing sound, words too soft to catch. I was taken aback. She was usually friendly, always laughing with us. I thought perhaps she'd had an argument with her husband that morning, and she was still upset. I tried to ignore it, continued eating. But as I ate, her muttering grew louder. Her eyes seemed darker, and that was only the beginning. A few days later, it happened again. She entered the room, glaring at me, her voice sharp and angry. "You sit there, eating beef right in front of me? How dare you show me that? Do you think because we are poor, we don't eat meat? We eat only goat, never beef." Her words were harsh, rude, almost spitting with venom. I sat there stunned. I had no idea what brought it on. There had been no quarrel, no reason, just this sudden, bitter outburst. I didn't ask her anything more. She finished her chores in silence, clearly upset, and left the house quickly that day. But the second incident was worse. That evening, I was rocking my baby to sleep while she was mopping the floor nearby. Suddenly, she stopped. Slowly, she lifted her head and looked straight at me. Her lips stretched wide into a horrible grin. She chewed betel leaves constantly, and now her entire mouth was stained a deep red. Against her pale, thin face, that red grin looked grotesque, almost monstrous. And then she spoke. "I went to a tushy in Chittagong. Then I married alone. The words slipped out in a low, hissing whisper. Not spoken clearly, but muttered like the hiss of a snake. Her voice sent a shiver through me. It didn't sound human. I was too focused on putting my baby to sleep to catch it all. But those broken, muttering words stayed with me. A tushy, Chittagong, married alone. It made no sense. And yet, something about the way she said it chilled me to the bone. That night, after I had put my baby to sleep, I saw her cleaning the dining space. The words she had muttered earlier still lingered in my mind. So I asked her gently, "Sister, when did you go to Chittagong? You said you went to a tushy." She froze. Slowly, she turned her head toward me. "What are you talking about? Who told you I went to Chittagong? I've never been there in my life." Her eyes locked on mine, cold, empty. Then, without another word, she bent back down and resumed her cleaning. She ignored me completely, as if I no longer existed. That moment chilled me more than her strange words. It wasn't just what she said. It was the way she looked at me, as though I was nothing, as though something else was staring through her eyes. I decided not to push her further. The incident ended there, but unease began to grow inside me. Days later, another scene unfolded. My in-laws had come to visit, and I prepared beef curry for everyone. She entered the kitchen while I cooked. The moment her eyes fell on the beef, her face twisted with fury. She muttered under her breath, then burst out angrily. "How dare you? How dare you bring this meat into this house? You've been eating cow's meat in front of me all this time, and now you dare cook it here? How much courage do you think you have?" Her voice was sharp, venomous. I stopped and asked softly, "Why, sister? What's wrong? Has something happened?" She snapped back, eyes blazing red from beetle stains. "You ask if there's a problem? Shouldn't there be? Of course there's a problem." Her words weren't just anger. They were hate. And in that moment, I realized something was deeply, terribly wrong. Her words grew stranger, heavier, as though they carried a weight not of this world. They beat me. They always beat me. That day too, when you cooked beef, they beat me. Again today, they are beating me, hitting me across the back. Yes, right now. I can feel it. Her eyes widened, her voice cracked, and she clutched her back as if invisible hands were striking her. We exchanged worried glances. My mother-in-law whispered that something was wrong. Not in her body, but from above. Something unseen was troubling her. So gently they asked, "All right?" The little one didn't know. It was a mistake. "Tell us, sister, what do you need? What will calm you?" She replied instantly, her voice low, almost demanding. "Ginger, garlic. Bring me ginger and garlic." My aunt agreed quickly, desperate to soothe her. On her way out, she handed over a bundle of ginger and garlic. That night, I could hardly sleep. My child was in the same house, and the thought of her strange words, her violent shifts, terrified me. What if this thing, whatever it was, touched my baby? I had never, in all my life, faced anything like this. And then came Eid. Anyone who has celebrated Eid knows how the house fills with meat. The smell of sacrifice lingers everywhere. Women gathered, dividing portions, washing, preparing, distributing beef. The entire day was surrounded by it, meat and blood and the sacred ritual of sacrifice. And in the middle of it all, she was there, watching, waiting, her face unreadable. Her words grew stranger, heavier, as though they carried a weight not of this world. "They beat me. They always beat me. That day too, when you cooked beef, they beat me. Again today, they are beating me, hitting me across the back. Yes, right now. I can feel it." Her eyes widened, her voice cracked, and she clutched her back as if invisible hands were striking her. We exchanged worried glances. My mother-in-law whispered that something was wrong. Not in her body, but from above. Something unseen was troubling her. So gently they asked, "All right?" The little one didn't know. It was a mistake. "Tell us, sister, what do you need? What will calm you?" She replied instantly, her voice low, almost demanding. "Ginger, garlic. Bring me ginger and garlic." My aunt agreed quickly, desperate to soothe her. On her way out, she handed over a bundle of ginger and garlic. That night, I could hardly sleep. My child was in the same house, and the thought of her strange words, her violent shifts, terrified me. What if this thing, whatever it was, touched my baby? I had never, in all my life, faced anything like this. And then came Eid. Anyone who has celebrated Eid knows how the house fills with meat. The smell of sacrifice lingers everywhere. Women gathered, dividing portions, washing, preparing, distributing beef. The entire day was surrounded by it, meat and blood and the sacred ritual of sacrifice. And in the middle of it all, she was there, watching, waiting, her face unreadable. She told us it had been like this since childhood. She could never eat beef, not once in her life. If anyone near her ate it, even if she only caught the smell, something would happen. She would be beaten, struck, attacked by unseen hands. From that day on, we understood. With a baby in the house, with my mother-in-law and I alone most of the time while my husband and father-in-law worked, we could not take the risk. For our own safety, we stopped cooking beef when she was around. That was my story. I don't know how terrifying it sounds to you, but for us, living through those days, it was pure fear. Fear that whatever followed her might one day reach us, or my child. If the story touched you, please share it. And with that, I take my leave. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Russell, and I hope you're all doing well, standing strong on the side of good. Alhamdulillah, I am too. And that was today's episode. If you enjoyed it, let us know. And if you didn't, tell us that as well. Your voices matter. Until we meet again next week, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay with us here at the Haunted Hour. Thanks you.